All right, here we go. Hey, Miss Bernice, Natalie, good evening to you. Trying not to knock this off. Lenora, good evening. Ty, good day to you. Coach Kissel, good to see you. Thank you for joining us. Gwen, good evening. Hey, the Honorable Vicki Nelson from Hinesville, Georgia, my friend. Thank you for joining us. Patricia, hello. Anne Marie, good evening. Audrey, hello. Mason, good evening. Angela, hello. Iris, good evening to you. Trey, God bless you too. Janelle, hello. Renee, I am glad that you are here. Georgiana, hello. Katrina, hello to you. Tanya, thank you, thank you, thank you. Alicia, good evening, ma'am. Pentel, good evening. Gloria, hello. E. Joyce Parrish, hello. Hey, Sharon. Tell my little lady I said hello. Um, let me catch up. Let me catch up myself. Hey, Angie from the DMV. Thank you for joining us. Denise, good evening. Sharon Renee, hello. Thank you for joining me. Hey, Pastor Hart. Mo, good to see you. Hey, Miss Faith, hope you're doing well. Toya, hello. Hello, Sandra. Michelle, good evening to you. Tanya, I'm sorry to hear about the passing of your friend at a church service in Wilmington. I'm sorry to hear that. Lynn, hello. Kat, hello. Good to see you as well. Rosalind, hello. Carolyn, how you doing, Carolyn? Good. Sharon, tell her she better be good. Janet, good evening. Amanda, hello. Latrell, hello. Mo, Friday night. That's right. This is our time. Jerry, good evening. Rock and Robin from Kansas City, Missouri. Thank you for joining us. Diane, thank you for joining us. Cecilia, hello. Hey, Philly, good to see you. Good to see you, Peanut. Hope you're doing well. Alicia, hello. Thank you for joining us. Hey, B. Lynn Roberts, thank you. Carol, thank you so much. Lisa, hello. Jamie, yeah, I'm gonna talk to you because you're putting stuff out there that's not necessarily true. So I'm going to address that, Jamie, because we need to make sure everybody's clear about what the deal is. So hold on, Jamie. I'll review it to you in a second. Stacy, hello. Hey, Triple A, of course, Mari Adams, Adams Funeral Services. Keisha, good evening. Jackie, good evening. Yolanda, hello. Hey, Dawn Baker. Everybody loves Dawn Baker. Dawn Baker is our hero. And we need to get more people to sign up for that trial. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. Georgette, hello. Shamika, hello. You have me followed. Okay. Is that a good thing? Or have I followed it? No, I haven't. Send it to me. Tia, hello. Terry, good evening. Tiffany, hello. Kenneth, hello. Um, good to see you. Katie, I will address the permits in Savannah. Absolutely. Diane, good evening. Pamela, good evening. Andrea, hello. Thomas, hello. Gwen, hello. Good to see you. Lessa, what's up with the school? I don't know. We'll talk about it. Sabrina, hello. Tanya, hello. Good to see my sweetheart, our sweetheart, our 65th mayor, Edna Branch Jackson. Madam Mayor, thank you so much for joining us this evening. And we'll get started in a moment, but we're just glad to have you on this evening, and we'll talk about a couple of things. And I have a special guest, a real special guest, Kendra. Love you in Brunswick as well. Donna, hello. Rebecca, hello. Alderman Dietrich Leggett from the 2nd District, representing the folks well in the 2nd District. Thank you, Dietrich, for joining us. Good evening, Mr. Reeves. Good to see you. Rachel, again, we'll talk about that in a moment. Valencia, hello. Chrissy, hello. Miriam, good to see you. Shauna, hello. Good to see you. Thank you for joining us as well. We are so excited that you're here with us, and Let's see. Kate, good evening. Brother Mequan Green, good to see you. Linda, hello. Tatiana, hello. Christopher. Oh, no, actually, no, that was actually something I picked up. Good, Alderman Nick Palumbo from the 4th District, representing strong in the 4th. Glad to have you here. Brown Eyed, good to see you. Tiffany, hello. Hey, Cammie, I'm doing all right. Nadia, hello. Nikki, hello. And oh, wow, this is like almost a quorum of city council up in here. The Honorable Linda Wilder Bryant from the 3rd District. Good to see you. Berta, I'm glad that you have joined us. Cardella, hello. Denise, hello. Michelle, good to see you, Michelle. Hey, Jennifer, Jessica, good to see you. Good evening. Thank you for joining us. Again, Tracy, oh, thank you. Tracy, I appreciate that. Thank you. And that's right. Kat says, Alderman Wilder Bryant's catchphrase, we're going to watch God be God. Trachea, hello. Kimberly, hello. Glad to see you. Glad that you're here with us. And then we'll get to talking, and then we will get into our very special guest for this evening. You're going to love it momentarily. So I'm going to go ahead and kick into gear. So I'll start off. Ms. Biles, good to see you. If Jerry, good to see you as well. Tamika, hello as well. If it is Friday and you are in the middle of a pandemic, if it's Friday, you're in the middle of a pandemic and you happen to be in Savannah, Georgia. If it's Friday and you're in the middle of a pandemic and you happen to be in Savannah, Georgia, and you are following the science that says if you don't have someplace you have to be, that you're going to be home because that's the safest place for you. So if it's Friday and you are in a pandemic in Savannah, Georgia, and you're following the science, then you're joining me on Friday nights, and that is time for our Friday Night Live, which is our Friday date night, our opportunity to get together, be together, and we are so glad that you have joined us for date night. I hope everybody has their drinks for us to talk about issues that are happening in the city, and then things that I just think might help to edify you and to encourage you while we're on this journey called COVID-19. So it's a lot to talk about. I want to give a couple of updates, and then we'll kind of get into the meat of what is happening today. So I want to start really with the passing of our friend, our beloved commissioner, certainly a mentor to me, someone who meant so much to so many people, and that is Coach James Holmes, the commissioner from the 2nd District of Chatham County. He was a phenomenal individual, a person whose passion matched his life's work. And his life's work was always about young people and about recreation and about athletics. And that was his entire life, to a point of where he had people coaching. Well, he coached a generation of people, and then it was their children's children that he coached. And then there were people like me that he never coached on a basketball court or on football, but he coached me in life. And that is why we always called him Coach. Now we use the term, somewhat loosely, where people say, "Oh, you're my life coach." But I mean, he was really and truly a life coach. He was 82 years old, but you would not know it. He had the life and the pep and the step of someone much younger, but was always engaged with people. always engaged in trying to find ways to make life better. And as many of you know, he um, contracted COVID 19, went into the hospital, and never made it out. 17 days later, Coach Holmes left us. His services are tomorrow. And, I just ask that you keep his family in prayers. Um, COVID is real. And I don't know how close COVID needs to get to us before we recognize how real COVID 19 is. It's real, it's serious. People who are otherwise healthy can go into hospitals and not come out again. This is not a game. And, what bothered me the most was that Coach Holmes, this beloved man who was present so much for everybody, died alone, as COVID patients do, because they can't have visitors. If you love somebody, if you care about somebody, do you really want them to die alone? But that's what happens with COVID patients. And for those of us that still needlessly and foolishly, in my opinion, walk around like everything is perfectly okay, remember the 17-year-old here, the 7-year-old in Savannah. Remember the 15-year-old up in Gwinnett County. And remember all those folks across our nation, across our world, that if had not been with an interaction with COVID-19, would still be here. So, my heart continuously breaks because for this man who worked his entire life to help coach and protect others, and in the final analysis, we could not protect him. So I never did this before, but I'm going to ask us just for a moment of silence, if you would, in memory of Coach James Holmes, please. Thank you very much. And if you would, let's send some hearts up for Coach Holmes, and let's send him up, and let's hope that the love reaches him in heaven and it reaches his family right where they are. So if you would, just go ahead and let's just shower them with some love. And I appreciate it. I thank you so much for it. Let's just show him plenty of love. Next thing is, of course, as we always say, we hope that you're liking this page, Mayor Johnson SAV on Facebook. You can look up and see whether you're following it or whether you like it. We want you to like it, and that'll let you know when we're doing updates and when we put information out there. So please go ahead and do that. We appreciate it. And then we also want you to share the video. Share it with your friends. Let them know we are on the air and we're talking. We're talking about things that are hopefully important to everybody. That being said, a couple of things I wanted to really talk about, and I want to try to stay kind of somewhat on task tonight. So, as you know, last week at this time, on Saturday, Governor Kemp reversed he now allows mask across the state, following a certain formula. It's really not news to us because the fact is that Savannah's had a mask mandate that the council has put into place on July the 1st. It's still in effect, and nothing has changed for us. We want you to wear a mask in the public space. Fortunately, we have started seeing some numbers that have said positively things are happening in terms of our numbers not going up as fast. Usually we're up in the triple digits. Lately, we've been up in the double digits. And the health professionals can really tie that into the point at which we started to do a mandatory mask. And so when you look at Savannah's growth as opposed to the rest of Chatham counties, Savannah's has actually declined somewhat, while it's not rapidly increasing as much. and we can attribute that to wearing masks. So thank you for those of you who've been keeping the faith and following science. Thank you for wearing your mask. I know it's uncomfortable. I know it's rough. I know it's hard, but thank you for doing that. A couple other things, and this will address some of the issues that are out there. With the city of Savannah has decided, and I can do it by order, but we're not issuing any more permits until October 31st. And the reason is clear: is following the science. For us, we have a responsibility to make sure that Savannah continues to do well, and we do that by not creating the gatherings that have occurred. We've tried permitting some things earlier, and admittedly, we permit them, and then people get together and they don't do the things they're supposed to do, and that affects people. And I've seen it personally, and so therefore, it's necessary, I think, for us to cancel all of our permitted events through October 31st. Now, what does that mean? Permitted events are events that are permitted by the city of Savannah. That is, if events at our Civic Center are canceled, and events, we're not issuing any permits that are in our public spaces. For example, the parks, squares, buildings, we're not permitting any events over there. Now, I understood there was some issues out there about weddings, and I'll be very clear to you about where we stand on that, because some of the information put out there was misinformation. And I believe that if there is a permit that has been issued, I think that the city of Savannah should honor that permit. And so therefore, if you have a permitted issue, then you need to contact the city. However, we're not going to issue any more permits. If people want to get married, they should get married. There's nothing stopping people from getting married. The probate court still accepts marriage licenses. The issue is that we're not going to permit a wedding in the square if we have not done so already. What does that mean? That means that you can't have chairs, you can't have arches, you can't have structures. But if you want to walk up in there and get married and keep it moving, you can do that. You can't have amplified music or amplified sound. But I think that if you want to get married, have at it. Likewise, I guess we could have applied that to to private venues. We have not. So if you have an event in a private venue, then you go ahead and continue to do that. We're not issuing temporary alcohol permits. Going forward and through October 31st, I just think that is the right thing for us to do, to be smart. I've been to some of these events. I've seen some of these events. I received footage of some of these events. And, people say, oh, yeah, we're going to do the right thing. And then you go there, they're not doing the right thing. We're going to wear a mask, get there, they're not wearing a mask. We're going to social distance, get there, it's no social distancing. We have a responsibility to protect people and protect the city of Savannah. So I think that what we have done is going to leave enough room for people to be able to do the things they want to do. It just cannot be formally permitted. And to the one who asked about me being in a parade tomorrow, yes, I'm in a parade. I'm in a car parade, which does not have to be permitted. So, that's the truth. And so, you hate when people put misinformation out there. But yeah, I'm in a parade tomorrow, celebrating women's suffrage. And I'm getting in a car and I'm riding around a park and I'm going about my business. So that's what I'm doing. So I hope that answers your questions. If you have additional questions, you can contact the city's permitting offices and you can talk to them about it. But to make it, short and succinct, we think there was an inclination to go through the rest of the year. We want to wait and see what happens through October. And then, if our situation has changed, then we'll start permitting again. But, the fact of the matter is that, everybody's hurting. And we cannot put the safety of our entire community at risk. And I'm not going to do it. I'm not. So if you want to be married, I officiate weddings and I'll be officiating a couple of them. They just won't be, well, one might be in a public square, but it's not going to be permitted. Two people get together, and me, I marry them, they're on their way. So, that's kind of where we are in that. So, hope that answers your questions. So, moving on. Um, I was happy to talk about what the city council has done as it relates to our COVID money. As many of you know, we decided to use our COVID allocations at an 80%, 20% scale. And so essentially, we've put money back into the community. And so we've allocated $3.3 million to United Way to help people with balances accrued either for rent or for mortgage, for lights or for utilities from March through August due to loss of income directly related to the COVID-19 pandemic. So for us, what has occurred is essentially the feds say how we have to use the money. The only caveat was that this is Savannah money, we want to use it on Savannahans. And so I know people from other municipalities in the unincorporated county were upset about that, and I'm sorry. At some point, we have to use Savannah's money to help Savannahans. And so we have a lot of people who have been calling in. The United Way has been working feverishly. So if you want more information, you want to talk to a specialist, you can call 211 from Monday to Friday from 8:30 a.m. to 5 o'clock p.m., 211, or you don't have to wait until then. You can apply online by going to savannahga.gov, SavannahGA, one word, savannahga.gov/CARES Act. And you can put your application in now. And again, we're trying to help people not be thrown out of their houses. We're trying to help people to stay okay, at least best we can. This is granted money, so you don't have to pay it back. And we're hoping to have some more money coming soon. We'll see how it goes. We've also put considerable amount of money, $2 million for small businesses in Savannah to help businesses to stay afloat. We had $2 million and that money went very quickly. We were able to help 42 Savannah businesses with grants up to $50,000. So 42 Savannah businesses got help because of this CARES money that the Savannah City Council put aside for funding. We are going to hopefully provide some more money for round two, and we want to make sure that small businesses, micro businesses, minority and women-owned businesses, businesses outside of the downtown core also have the opportunity to get that money. So we will let you know when that window opens, and then we will go on from there. We realize we can't help everybody, but we're going to do the best to help everybody that we can. So that being said, thank you very much for the updates, and I'll come back and answer some questions in a little bit. But I am so glad, so happy, so blessed to have with us. This lady is absolutely fire. She is awesome all by herself. She is a noted sociologist. She's had her own nationally syndicated talk show. She's just like fire, like for real fire. And we are blessed here in the Savannah community to have her among us. She is a woman of extraordinary talents. People are literally calling her name around the world. And I will tell you that when I met her and the 10 subsequent times I was seeing her before COVID was usually in the airport. She was sitting in first class. I was sitting in the back. She is a noted sociologist, and she is someone that I consider a friend and a sister, and she is certainly a treasure to our city. And I am so glad to welcome to Friday Night Live, Dr. Bertice Berry. Dr. Bertice Berry, how are you doing?
I am fantastic, Mayor Johnson. Thank you so much for inviting me in.
Now, I know it's been a long day for you. And
yeah,
I know. And I know that smile, as radiant as it is also shielding a very tired soul. So,
yeah, because I get up at around 3.
Right. So I promise I won't keep you long, but I mean, I really wanted this opportunity to do a little more than the doom and gloom, because I think the benefit we have with you is that you're like a doctorate, like doctorate level sociologist. I mean, you're like for real sociologist, which is the study of people and people interaction and how they relate. What is
Yeah.
the biggest lesson that you think that we have learned from a sociology standpoint because of COVID-19 and the times we're in?
Well, I mean, collectively, I think we're learning how easily people are divided based on, just their own whims and wills, what they want and what they're tired of and what they need. But I think what we should be learning is who we are individually, who we are as family, who we are as community. Crisis comes and it doesn't reveal something that was new. I mean, you can learn some new things about yourself, but it really doubles down on who you already were. And so, for people who are struggling, people like to wait for a crisis and talk about resiliency. You build resiliency before the crisis. In the crisis, you plan for the future and you say, who do we want to become? So we should be asking ourselves, what do we know well? And what does our community need? And then find ways to share those things with your community. And in doing that, it will feed you.
I've seen the whole plethora of, I've seen people during this time become very, very nice. And I've
Mhm.
seen people become very, very mean. Is
Right.
this a new phenomenon, or it's just that we're just noticing it?
No, it brings out crisis brings out who you are. And what we're finding is, for years we spent time saying to our employer, I need to spend more time with my family. I need to spend more time with my family. And now people are like, get me away from my family. Get me. So these same people who you say are the most important people in your life, the most valuable thing to you, the most important thing, no, we're really fighting to, I want to do it my way. I want to live my way. And it's exposing us for who we are. We're not about, when my sister does well, I do well. We're about, I want to be the envy of my neighbors. And we're seeing that. I was traveling probably on a plane 6 times a week before this. I've been home since March. And I've discovered things in my house that I didn't know existed. I'm like, "Ooh, look at that book. Where you been?" And, and I think it's time for us to discover ourselves, discover our family, discover our community, find ways that we can be helpful to one another.
Are you familiar of a time in history when we just had so much stuff kind of going on from a people's standpoint?
What do you mean specifically?
I mean, it's just we're in this space where it just looks like I was talking with somebody saying, it was like what part of Revelation, what book of Revelation we're in this week? I
Yeah, we're
mean,
not.
one moment we're in,
We haven't had that
we had
period.
the killer bees, and then we
Yeah.
had, the plague, and then we have the weather, and it's like,
So what the pandemic is doing, what this period of time of isolate and sit still, it's revealing. So we're in a dual pandemic of coronavirus and then systemic racism. It's not that systemic racism hasn't been here. We were sitting still long enough to see George Floyd be killed, to see Ahmaud Arbery, to see it. It's been happening. We're sitting still long enough to see it. And it's bringing up some things about this nation that we don't like, about ourselves that we don't like. So things are happening back to back to back to back because we were still long enough, but also because things are being revealed. If anybody had told me we were going to have a global pandemic and you don't have a cure, you have isolation, you have tracing, you have testing, and you have this little cloth mask that you put it across your face to protect you and to protect others. If anybody had told me that we would fight against wearing that little cloth mask or testing or tracing, would have said you're crazy. That's all we have to stay alive. But we're not paying attention, right? And it's not like it's gone away, and it will double back. And, we're looking for everybody to blame but us. So now we want teachers to socialize our children. Suddenly we need, well, what about my children? They're not going to get socialized. Socialization begins in your house. If you're not teaching them how to be loved and how to know that they're loved, why are we expecting educators to do everything? So the pandemic, like any virus, is spreading. And then our behavior, like any virus, is spreading. If we wake up in the morning and we're angry, and then that spreads in the house, and then the people in the house who have to go out to work or working from home, they're carrying that anger. It's all spreading. And we need to change the narrative. We're real fortunate here in Savannah that we have you as a mayor. You took a lot of hits. Everybody knows it now that, oh, yeah, we should it's a good thing we canceled that St. Patrick's Day parade. We should have. But at the time, people were like, how dare you do this? Yeah. But that requires that you run down the road. A leader has to run down the road to see what everybody's going to need and come back and tell them. And you're not going to be liked when you tell them, but once they begin to see. And so now we have to kind of use this wisdom from seeing and say, maybe those of us who can stay still should stay still. Maybe we need to pay a little bit closer attention. We don't need to fight over this. We need to try to find ways to stay well.
And I guess I'll go back, because that was kind of what my issue was. We were asking people to do 3 things: wear a mask, wash their distance, wash their hands. Mm-hmm. 3 things that we believe through science would help our city to remain resilient and to get past this. And you would not believe the pushback of people. You're not going to, who are you to tell me when, and people, I'm going to come down there and wear my mask, not wear my mask, and what you're going to do to me. And, it's like, don't you care enough about the people you love?
Well, it's even caring about yourself. I think right. What's being revealed, honestly, is our selfishness. And it's an ugly thing to look at, but when it gets to a point where, I have a very short haircut, and I've had the blessing of a 13-year-old great nephew who can cut my hair. Now he can cut my hair because at Christmas time I bought him a clipper set. I noticed right. that he liked barbers and he would love to go to the barber with me and watch how the barber did it, never thinking that he was going to be cutting my hair. But that little investment in his life became a thing for me. We have to be willing. This thing is demanding that we see one another as connected. And because, in sociology, we say the self is social, that I am because we are, that I don't become human. The more interaction I have, the more human I become. So this interaction, I haven't, in fact, I'm interacting with people even more now. I never went on Facebook or Instagram and did videos, but I had 5 friends who were depressed. I started doing videos. Suddenly, these videos are going viral. Now I'm hearing from people, I'm in more contact, I'm working more, I'm doing more, because I simply said, who can I help? I didn't whine and complain about all my work being canceled. I said, who can I help? If more of us say, who can I help? If by staying home today, in some countries, you call in and get a pass, and they say, where are you going? So they can count the number of people who are going to be in that space. Right. Where are you going? That's the only place you can go with that pass. And you only have this short amount of time to do it. We can't even put on the mask.
Right.
And it's revealing a lot of things about us that are not pretty. And I think we need to sit with ourselves and here's what's amazing to me. We're not grateful. People who've never been to church Didn't go to church when the church was open. Church was open 4 or 5 times a week. Now it's like, y'all ain't gonna, you gonna keep me from my Lord and Jesus, Savior Jesus Christ, Holy Spirit, speaking in tongues as a spirit giver. You weren't in church. I can't go to the museum. You have not seen the inside of a museum. Now everybody needs to go to the gym, baby. We can tell you ain't been. You've been right home with me. So we, we need to be wiser, and we need to be more compassionate, first with ourselves and then with everybody else.
Wow. So we have, several hundred people on this Friday night. This is our date.
As you do, because they all dating you.
I date all them. But there are people, I'm sure, that are watching that are at the end of their rope.
Yep.
They're stressed. They're tired.
Yes.
Their funds are depleted.
Yeah.
Their faith has been tried.
Mm-hmm.
And every time you turn around, it's more bad news. What would you say to that person that's listening now that's just like, you know what? I don't know how much more of this I could take.
Yeah. I want that person that really feels like they're at the end of the rope to be vulnerable and open enough to reach out to somebody who will respond to them. To just, we're going to have to be honest when we get to that point where I just can't take it, and reach out for some help. Sometimes I heard from a woman in one of the islands, and she said, I've just lost hope. I just need some hope. And I got online and I went to the Episcopal Facebook group and I said, hey, y'all, pray the single mom losing hope. Thousands of people responded. And then I went to another group of academicians and I said, anybody on this island know of any jobs in this area? Can you let me know? So I just gave her all the information. And she said, you know what? I didn't expect you to do all of that. I just needed hope. But that gave her hope. Those of us who are not quite at the end of the rope, be a little bit more patient with one another and just say, how can I help? Ask yourself, all my work was canceled. And I said, what do I know? What can I do really well? I know how to sew. I started making masks before they announced that there was a shortage. I said, I know how to give hope. I would go online and leave a 7-minute message and people started watching them. And then I said, I know race stuff really well. PhD, wrote my dissertation in it. I know race stuff. And I laughed and said, ain't nobody gonna be talking about no race stuff and no pandemic. Put that to the side. The next thing you know, everything that I offered was not only needed, but it turned around and gave me. I don't feel lonely or like I'm missing a flight or have some need to go somewhere because I used what I had to reach out to somebody else. So if you're lonely, reach out to somebody who you know is in pain. If you are without, reach out to somebody who you know has even a little bit less and say, how can we put this together? It's a time now that we're going to start using the resources. And somebody called and said, I'm starting a new job and I don't have any clothes. And I said, well, I'll send you some clothes. And, well, I can't afford the things you make. I'm like, baby, you don't need to pay me, but we can trade something. And so we're going to move back into some things where we begin to barter some things. But reach out. Put down the shame that you have about what you think you don't have. That was one of the things that helped me. I have been down. I have MS. I struggle physically. I struggle sometimes emotionally. Sometimes the pain is so bad physically that it becomes emotional. But one thing I know for certain, and two, I know for sure, there's somebody that I can help in the midst of my stuff. And when I reach out and do it, suddenly pain is not so real. We're going to have to get up off of what we think we don't have and begin to count what we do.
Well, I mean, so it may be we can figure out a way of asking, and again, we have several hundred people on here, asking them, let's find something good, one thing that we can do for other people if it's not just an encouraging word or some type of way?
What can you do?
Right. What can we do? I mean, everybody can't do the same thing. I mean,
No, we
I'll
don't want
admit,
everybody to.
I got the nicest mask in the mail from you. And I rocked that mask because, I mean, I didn't even ask for it. You just sent it to me. And I'm like, this is a nice mask. But it was just that simple act of kindness of something you were already doing.
Right.
That, you know, admit that you were thinking of me.
Exactly. I started making those masks and we sent them to some elders in the community. Next thing I know, I got some bread pudding. I said, well, what's this for? She said, you said I make the best bread pudding. So this is what I can do. I'm going to make bread pudding. And so she's doing what she can do. Now, I can't make bread pudding like she makes it, but she can't make a mask like I make one. And we don't need everybody doing the same thing. We need everybody doing what they do, what they love, what they know to do well, and sharing that. And when we start to do that kind of thing, we can change the way the economy works.
Right. What about for parents who have to comfort children and when they don't necessarily feel so comforted themselves?
Yeah. Some of the stuff, we have to be honest, we're projecting some of our stuff on our children.
Right.
And this is a great time to really get to know your kids, really get to know their concerns, really get to know and to share with what's going on in the rest of the world. I was working with one company and the woman said, my granddaughter's not, you know, she's not able to go to the prom and she can't even do prom pictures because her dress didn't come. And I said, you know where her dress is? The woman who makes that dress is walking home from the factory where she was sleeping on the floor, and they shut down the country. And now all the transportation was cut down and she couldn't even, you know, find a ride. So she's walking back to her village while we're upset because we didn't get that garment. We need to be a little bit more grateful about what is. We can have these conversations with our kids right now. It's hard. We also can take them to some places that they wouldn't have gone, take them out in nature, take them for some open air kind of experiences. But it's a time for us to learn together and love together. It really is a time to hunker down and come together.
So before I ask you my last question, there's lots of love coming on here for you.
Thank you.
And I mean, they're loving you up. Matter of fact, I have somebody on here from Belize, and
Yay.
she says she has loved you since Redemption Song.
Ooh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So obviously she knows you.
Yeah, yeah.
So she's known you since Redemption Song. And already what is happening is people are on here basically saying, I saw somebody saying they do resume writing. So they're saying, hey, if they, you know, they're saying if, you know, she's willing to help. That was Elise. She says, if I can help, hit me up, I'll help you. So I mean, I'm seeing people already saying, you know, these are ways that I could be of help.
So let me say to you, this is what you're doing. This Friday Night Live creates a community in a pandemic that we probably wouldn't have been hearing information this way. But in this community, people come in, they're having conversations with one another, they're sharing one another. What can you do? For every need, there is a purpose, and for every purpose, there is a need. And when my purpose to do whatever it is, when I begin to share it and somebody else finds it, the angels are dancing. God is pleased with us because we're reaching out in ways that we're supposed to. This is not just talk for me. I have 5 adopted children who were all born fetal alcohol and crack addicted. At some point in my life, I had to step outside of the work that I had done, the choices that I had made, the life that I said I wanted to have for me, to take care of somebody else. And that gave me life. It didn't stop my life, it expanded it. So we're gonna have to step outside of what we thought we were doing. We're not alone in this, we're all in this.
And we are all in this. Rebecca says she has an email distribution for jobs. I mean, they going through us. And really, I was being a little selfish, Dr. Berry. I did Friday night because I was home by myself. And so it was like, I had no life.
Exactly.
And then, you know, because as much as I'll go out, I'm not going out. And
whatever your need is.
Right. And so I said, well, I'll go live. And then next thing you know, a couple of hundred people showed up, then several hundred people showed up. And now when I try not to do it, people are like, well, what do you mean you're not going to do it tonight? I mean, what do you mean you're not going to do it? I mean, last week, I mean, my power was out.
Oh,
So I run over to the city hall. I had Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms on. She's waiting, and the live wouldn't go up. So I just turned the phone on, and we just held it up, and she was like, and we had a great time. We had Brent Grant on as well, and we just made the best of what we had. Are you with me?
right.
Okay, you are with me. So, but Dr. Berry, somebody just asked, can we have you back?
It's become a thing. Yeah, are you with me?
Yeah, people are saying, can we have you back once a month for a pick me up? So obviously, you've helped some folks here. Your smile is just infectious. I mean,
thank you.
You smile and it just kind of lights up a room. What's the important? Let's talk about that. What's the importance about smiling? I remember once you told me never forget to smile.
Yeah. Somebody told me once that God inhabits my smile. And I was like, what? When you're communicating your intention, you have to communicate it from the intention of your heart. When I was doing television, I went to this coach and she said, say, I love you. And I said, I love you. She said, now take a deep breath, smile and say, I love you. I love you. And the second time you're hearing my heart. You're not hearing just some words that I'm saying, you're hearing my heart. So when I speak through, and I can't help it. A happy heart is made glad and can smile. And I can't help it. I can't help it because in the midst of everything that's going on, there is grace, there is love, there is joy. I tried to control my life and myself and my being. And then, I'm stricken with something that stops my movement in the way that I'm accustomed to. And in that, I'm given so much more. You have to be grateful in this time. And you have to use whatever you have to make somebody else see that gratitude is the way. I love that these people with jobs and resume writing skills and all of these things that people are sharing them, that you share. You have a big old job. Friday night should be the time that you go home and go to sleep. But instead, you choose this time to inform the community of what's going on, and you do it with joy and laughter and ease. And maybe it was because you were alone and didn't have anybody and you needed to connect. But in doing that and taking care of your own need, look at how everybody else gets fed. That's what we have to do.
They told me I couldn't say Netflix and chill. I went and got Netflix, and then when I said Netflix and chill, they said I can't say that. There's some connotation to that I don't know anything about. So, so it just became Friday Night Live, and it became our date night. But we just appreciate you so much. Again, you just have the ability to lift our hearts and lighten our spirits, and folks are just showing you love all over this feed. So, again, I know you've had a long day, and I just appreciate you. Anything closing for our folks? Do you have anything?
Yeah. I told this story once. Yeah. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're breaking up a little bit, but I told this story once and I want to tell it here. When I was a kid growing up, my family was extremely poor. And so everybody had a job doing something. And I cleaned houses in the morning and banks after school. And there were always these older women at the bus stop because I had to take a bus from my school, and they would, tell me little tips, and I would ask how to clean things and how to make them right. And so one day there was this one woman who was older than everybody else, but she wouldn't talk to me. I was 12, 13 years old. She's like, what you trying to do out here taking my job? So one day she saw that I was serious. And she kind of let me in on it. And she said, little girl, I said, yes, ma'am. She said, always take care of the lights. And I was like, huh? Excuse me? She said, always take care of the light. She said, there's always a big old light there that nobody's cleaned. You clean that light and all the other work you've done will shine. Well, I cleaned that light and the woman of the house came out and was like, woo, what you doing here? And the husband came out and he was like, pay her extra. Woo, what you doing here? And it was because I took care of that light. Well, it stayed with me. It stayed with me through undergrad and graduate school and getting a PhD at the age of 26. And one day it hit me that I am a light, that I have a light within me, and that we have to nurture our light. We have to feed it. We have to take care of it so that everything around us shines. When you take care of the light within you, you give other people permission to be who they are. So keep shining.
Well, you have lit our Friday night. I mean, Friday Night Live has become Friday Night Lit because you have shared your light with us. Thank you so much. We so appreciate it. Again, everybody I know appreciate you spending your time and more importantly, pouring into us. I really appreciate it. Again, I know what kind of day you've had and what kind of days you have. And so I just feel honored that you came on the live this time as a guest. People, your services are requested all over the world. People pay you for what you have done for us. And I just appreciate that. I appreciate that. And hopefully soon we'll see each other in the airport again, you in first class and
well, I appreciate you
me sitting next to the
that you're
bathroom.
doing. I'm here for you. Anything you need. I appreciate you. And I've seen you sludging through sewage water after a hurricane to make sure somebody's big mama or somebody's puppy is okay. And a servant leader like you, we are so blessed and so fortunate. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Love you.
Love you. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. That was Dr. Bertice Berry. I want to thank her so much for coming and hanging out with us on this Friday night. Hopefully, if you don't feel better by now, you should hopefully feel a little empowered to move on just a little while longer. So we got a couple of minutes left. I'm going to go and see if there's anything, any questions or anything anybody have to say. We'll answer those. We want to thank you. Adele says, the church said amen. And Hazel says words of wisdom. Thank you. And Josette says the best date ever. And she's thanking Dr. Berry as well. Again, we just appreciate it. I mean, there's a need for you to take care of each other. And we need you to take care of yourself. And so we all have some hard times. Rachel says, is there a major in financial, do I have to offer retail support? Yes, ma'am. Let me go back to you. Your question was, is the major financial mental strain on those in the event industry? Your event rental business is hanging by a thread. Do you have plans to offer any relief or support to our industry? Yes, we've offered $2 million already in loans to businesses, and we expect a $1.6 million addition. You can go to the SBAC, and we're offering that support. If you're in Savannah, you're eligible for that support if it's due to COVID-19. So that is our plan. So far, we've already done $2 million, and we're adding $1.6 million to that. So that's our opportunity to be able to help. Everybody is suffering. Every business is having a very, very rough time. And so the city has resolved to do what we can to be able to help in terms of cash to help businesses get over. Also, the SBAC has loans that you can take out as well to help you over the hump. So go to SBAC and you can get that information. So I hope that answers your question. Let's see, what else we got? Thank you. Hey, Miss Bessina, we love you too. Thank you very much. Thank you. Good evening, Miss Rudell. Good to see you. And good to see. Thank you, Miss Sandra. We appreciate you as well. I'm trying to get this thing to go down a little bit so I can see. Ivania, thank you very much. Paula, thank you. Cecilia, I'm glad you feel better. And Elise Louise has said you could DM her. She will help you with your resume and cover letter. Thank you so much for doing that. Um, Elaine Bradley from Augusta, thank you. And as I said, I know um, Alderman Dietrich Leggett from the 2nd District on, Alderwoman Linda Wilder Bryan from the 3rd District on, and Alderman Nick Palumbo is on from the 4th District. And again, these are caring public servants. This is hard work, and I've just been so happy with these public servants who've stepped up. But more importantly, there is the legislative work of the council, but it's also the boots and the ground work in the community. And they are doing the boots and the ground work. It's an honor for me to work with them, and I appreciate them as well. Dr. Young says plastic collection plate. Thank you. Sending a shout out. That's right. I am glad to see Donna Williams in Augusta, Georgia. Good to see Miss Donna. I like Donna better than I like her sister Debbie. So shouts out to you, Donna. Good to see Kimberly Robertson on as well. Thank you for joining us. All right, Kendra, I'm glad you were able to hear that. Dee, thank you. And Rosalie, thank you. Dr. Kenneth Davis, thank you very much as well. Tracy, if you want me to marry you, you call the city council, you will call City Hall, call my office, 651-6444, 651-6444. If you want me to marry you, I will marry you. I can't marry myself, but I can marry other people. So I'll be more than honored to do that for you. Katrina needs to speak to Elise. She said she will do that and get that done. We thank her so much for that. Hey, Walter wants to offer free advertising at his sports events. And so that's www.i9sports.com. Thank you, Mr. Reeves. We appreciate that as well. Ms. Flo, thank you. And Ms. B, thank you as well. Ms. Roxanne, hello. Good to see Sean Alicia on. Pastor Timmy Curry, thank you. Philip, I do not know about the state unemployment office as it relates to Savannah, but what I'll do is I will contact them and see. Chuck Fagan, you're incorrect. A quorum is 5, not 4. That being said, let's see what else. Oh yeah, Brittany, I'm going to share that graphic. Yeah, I will. Molly, thank you. I'm so glad you're with us. We do this every Friday. Sheila, thank you very much. And good to see Cynthia Drummond. I appreciate you, and I'm glad that you were in town to see us. Elise, thank you for spending that time with us. Felicia, thank you very much. Ian, thank you so much. We appreciate you. Ladies and gentlemen, the fact is that we're going to persevere. We're going to be bigger and better. We're going to survive this. Maybe sometimes God does things to help us to recognize that there is somebody bigger than you and I. Because if there was an easy fix to the pandemic, we would say that we did it. If it was something that just affected the poor folks and not the rich folks, we'll say it was the economy. If it was something that just affected the health of those in certain places, we would say it was random. But this has occurred at such a time that the world has been stopped. And we have had an opportunity to get back to those things which are basic, those things that are most important. And really, when it's all said and done, the most important things are not things at all. The most important things are people and relationships. And hopefully we're using this time to focus on people, focus on building relationships. That's why I'm working so hard. That's why members of our city council, we're working so hard, because we recognize that at the end of the day, you can have money, but it won't buy you health. we recognize that if we have healthy people, we have healthy businesses. And we cannot be in a situation where we're just, you know, business above all. We have to have healthy people. And so that's why I appreciate you all so much for doing what you do, wearing your mask. That is the type of thing that we need you to do and continue to do. We need our churches and our mosques and our synagogues and houses of faith to remain closed. Thank you. I mean, you all are setting the standard across the nation of people watching of what we do when we have faith enough to follow the science. Because we believe all things come from above. We have faith enough to follow the science. And so we have protected people from being COVID afflicted because of our ability to be able to follow the science. And when it's all said and done, when we have gotten through this, when we have crossed this bridge, when we have gone through this tunnel, we will be able to say that it was somebody bigger than you and I that did it. It wasn't that we were smart. It was because we were ingenious. It wasn't because we were cute. It wasn't because of our employment. It wasn't because of our socioeconomic standing. It wasn't because of our societal, social, or fraternal associations. It will be because we kept the faith. We kept the faith. We did it together. And we reached out together. And we worked together. And we loved on each other. And we remained Savannah strong because we showed Savannah love, because we kept the faith and we followed the science. I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all so much. Remember the census workers are out now. So please go ahead and do that. My2020census.gov. Go ahead and take the time to do it. My 2020 census. And then also, it's time. It's time. Voting starts as we're less than 80 days away from the presidential elections. And we're going to talk more about that. We need you to go ahead and vote early. Do not wait until the last day. We want you to vote early. And we're going to figure out a way to put drop boxes in communities. We're going to figure out a way to put chairs at voting places. We're going to figure out a way to make sure that people vote. This election is far too important for so many reasons. And I won't get political to talk about the whys, but the fact of the matter is, you know that you need to be a participant in this process. And so if you're not registered to vote, you're not sure, go ahead and get that done. Let's go ahead and vote. And if you want me to give me your ballot and I drop it off, I will do that. Seriously, for real. So wear your mask, watch your distance, wash your hands, and we will make it through this. Thank you all so much. God bless. And again, we appreciate you. We'll see you next Friday for another edition of Friday Night Live. And I'll hopefully have another great guest. It's kind of hard to beat Dr. Bertice Berry. Maybe Michelle Obama might be available, but you're not going to get much better than what you had tonight. God bless. Thank you all so much. Have a great night.